Good morning, everyone. On behalf of CAR, I would like to call this meeting to order and welcome you to our May general membership meeting. Your safety is top of mind. Therefore, in case of an emergency, I want to point out the closest exit. In addition to the 2 exit doors located in the ballroom, which lead to the side parking lot, we have 4 doors immediately outside this room leading to the terrace. Once on the terrace, you will follow the walkway around the building back to the front parking lot. You can also exit the ballroom in the pre-function area and leave the way you came in, through the front doors. To begin today's meeting, I welcome you to stand and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, we will move on to the approval of the minutes from our March Professional Honor Society and Awards meeting. The minutes were included in our handouts. Are there any additions or corrections to the distributed minutes? If so, please raise your hand and submit your feedback using the Zoom chat window. Closer? Okay. If not, they stand approved as distributed. Thank you. Next, I would like us to acknowledge the CAR antitrust statement. This statement ensures we are encouraging discussions that promote all realtors and does not restrict competition among members or potential members. We work to foster a forum for an open discussion of diverse opinions without attempting in any way to discourage or sanction any business practice. The CAR antitrust statement will be acknowledged before every CAR meeting. You can see a full copy of our antitrust statement in today's online handouts or at the registration desk. We are extremely grateful to our sponsors for stepping up and helping us provide this wonderful program. This morning's is brought to you courtesy of presenting sponsor, Virginia Credit Union, and supporting sponsor, Greenwood Homes. We also appreciate our exhibitors who are with us today. We value the professionalism, service, and support of our affiliates to CAR and its members. If you haven't already visited their tables, please do so before you leave today. At this time, I would like to invite Katie Turner from Virginia Credit Union to share a few words.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Katie Turner, and I'm a mortgage lender at Virginia Credit Union. Thank you for having me. I am happy to be here. One thing I really enjoy about working at the credit union is we are community focused. So we do a lot of volunteer work, sponsorships for events such as this one, and build real relationships with our clients. I know there's been a lot of talk lately about the interest rates and economy, but we are seeing a very strong spring market. So buyers are still out there, they're still buying, people are still moving, homes are still selling, and life is continuing to happen regardless of what the market's doing. We do have some helpful programs, some great first-time homebuyer opportunities. For clients that are not interested in looking at inventory, we do have land loans as well as construction products. Right now, in honor of Memorial Day, we are waiving all VA appraisal fees for those who have served in a way of saying thank you. In addition, we are a local community credit union. We are actually the largest credit union in the state of Virginia, but only have one brick and mortar here in Charlottesville at this time. Hopefully to see more of that come. We are located over by the Outback, so make sure you stop in and say hi to us. We do offer free memberships to all CAR members, so if you are interested in becoming a member there, stop in. Thank you for having me, and I look forward to meeting with you all afterwards.
Thank you, Katie. At this time, we will move straight into our main program. Transportation is the top of mind for us and many of our clients when it comes to moving. We often hear questions like, how long will my commute be? How close is this location to shops, restaurants, and hospitals? These questions highlight just how closely transportation access is tied to quality of life, housing choice, and opportunity. To explore these issues more deeply, we're joined today by a panel of knowledgeable and experienced professionals who bring a range of perspectives on transportation, connectivity, and community planning. Please join us on stage as I call your name. Taylor Jenkins, Thomas Jefferson Planning District Commission, Director of Transportation. Kevin McDermott, County of Albemarle, Deputy Director of Planning. Carrie Shepard, Virginia Department of Transportation Resident Engineer, and moderator Neil Williamson, Free Enterprise Forum President. If you're in person and have a question, please submit on an index card. Raise your hand and a staff member will collect it from you. Those on Zoom, please use the Q&A feature on the Zoom toolbar to submit your questions. Your questions will be read aloud. Neil, take it away.
Good morning, Carr. It's great to be with you, and I have to say I'm thrilled to be talking about transportation. This morning I was driving in, and we always work on having topical things. I'm driving in this morning, and I'm doing my mind thing, impossible trivia. What's the one thing people complain about in this region according to impossible trivia? Traffic. It wasn't a big stumper. I think they got it through in 15 minutes or something. Last night, I saw a realtor who will remain nameless, who posted on Facebook that previously she lived in another country where drinking while driving was legal. They drove on the wrong side of the road, and both sides of the roads were cliffs. She said 5:30 on Fridays at Pantops is worse. Sorry, U.S. Virgin Islands. She outed herself. Our panel today looks at ways to alleviate these traffic woes by developing plans, competing for funding, as well as constructing and maintaining our transportation infrastructure. A word of warning, today we should have acronym bingo cards. Nobody loves an acronym like the transportation planner. To understand the different roles, here start the acronyms. TJPDC, Thomas Jefferson Planning District Commission, runs the Charlottesville Albemarle Metropolitan Planning Organization, CAMPO, and it's a federally mandated body that seeks to coordinate transportation across the region. Albemarle County Planning examines and considers how local land use decisions impact transportation infrastructure and seek funding for infrastructure improvements. The resident engineer is, pardon the pun, where the rubber meets the road. It's responsible for all approved projects and the maintenance of transportation infrastructure in the district. Please don't say the word snowcrete to Carrie. With that as introductions, let's get right into our questions. We've got them right here. First to Taylor Jenkins. Who/what is CAMPO, and how are long-range transportation plans, LRPTs, developed? Do localities and or VDOT, Virginia Department of Transportation, have a role in plan development?
Good morning, everyone. So the Charlottesville Albemarle Metropolitan Planning Organization, the MPO, so first acronym of the day, is the federally mandated regional transportation planning organization for the urbanized areas of this region. So for the city of Charlottesville and the urbanized portions of Albemarle County. We really serve as a regional forum and a convener for the two localities to be able to come together and coordinate their decisions on transportation planning over time. And so we provide that space for them to be able to do that. And as a federally mandated body, one of the things that we have to do is the Long Range Transportation Plan, or the LRTP. So when we go through that process, we step back and we ask ourselves two really big questions. We say, where does the region want to go and how do we get there? So that is our LRTP in a nutshell. It looks out over a planning horizon of about 20 years. We look at the needs in the area. We look at mobility gaps, we look at safety concerns, just really comprehensively at the transportation system as a whole. And then we decide on the projects that are going to help us move the needle over the next 20 years for those issues that we identify. And so for the second part of that question, do the localities play a role in the LRTP? Even though as the regional body, we may be the one leading that process, we really are just facilitators. And so the local jurisdictions ultimately come to the LRTP process to communicate the priorities of their local jurisdictions. So they connect their comprehensive plans, their small area plans to the long-range transportation plan. They communicate land use patterns that they see and what projects they would like to include in the long-range transportation plan. So it's deeply collaborative. We wouldn't be able to do it without their participation. And then for VDOT, they provide a lot of data, they provide a lot of guidance, a lot of technical support for the long-range transportation plan, and they also communicate statewide priorities and how our regional priorities overlap with some of those. So on the implementation side of the LRTP, there are statewide and federal funding programs that we can apply to, and so VDOT really plays a role during plan development to make sure that we're aligning with the policies of some of those programs.
That's probably the best definition I've ever heard. Next, the question 2 is to Kevin. Kevin and I have known each other a long time, and he's been with Albemarle a long time. How do Albemarle's many plans, because trust me, Albemarle's got plans, comprehensive plan, master plan, strategic plan, et cetera, coordinate with the MPO and VDOT plans?
Thanks, Neil, and thanks everybody for having me today. So it's an interesting thing that I hear all the time. People are always saying, all we ever see is you're doing plans. And I'd just like to highlight that the reason we are always doing plans is because the money and time that we spend on plans is nothing compared to the money and time that's spent on actually constructing new facilities, new roads, and all that. Those often come at tens of millions of dollars of cost. So we want to put in the time ahead of that project to make sure that we've selected the right project and that it's being constructed correctly. And so there's a lot of times when we are reevaluating a plan that's already happened and coming back and doing more detail on those and making sure that we're selecting the appropriate locations for new facilities. So you're right, we do a lot of plans, but they all serve different purposes. So you mentioned the Albemarle County Comprehensive Plan. That is a 20-year outlook on land use, and it incorporates things like transportation so that we can make sure that we're coordinating what we expect to come in future land use with that transportation. We also do specific plans that focus on a certain mode or a certain corridor. So there could be a plan that is being done for transit. I know that Taylor's, the TJPDC right now is working on a major transit plan. And when they do something like that, we take the results of that and we incorporate that into the plans that we're doing. So if they made a plan to enhance transit on a corridor, and then we look at an area on that corridor, we're going to go back and we're going to try and figure out, well, how can we make sure that transit operates well with the land use that's going on in that area? So we often are going back and forth. Taylor also mentioned the long-range transportation plan. One of the great things about that is that to do the long-range transportation plan, they take a lot of data on the way people are moving in our region, and they create a model that kind of tells us how the roads will operate with that traffic. And then we can take the results of that model and incorporate it into our area plans so that we can see that, oh, if there's a major problem in an area or a problem that we would expect to see in that area, that we can then make sure we're addressing that in our plan. And we also look at plans from the high level, like the long-range transportation plan and the comprehensive plan, but then we dig down deeper into small area plans where we're really looking at things like, what's the width of a sidewalk on an area? Do we need to make sure there's turn lanes on at this intersection? Is there a need for a signal or a stop sign or a roundabout? Anything. So we're doing plans. We're looking not just at different areas in the region, but we're going from high level down to low level. And we work with both VDOT and the TJPDC to make sure that we're not missing things. We reevaluate things that they're looking at, and then we incorporate things that they've found, findings that they've got, and into the plans that we're doing.
That's great. Thank you, Kevin. Question 3 goes to Carrie. In addition to highway maintenance, VDOT has both an administrative role with smart scale funding, as well as an operational role in getting funded projects built. In your time with the district, what new projects have been funded and or constructed, and which ones will be constructed in the next couple of years?
Good morning. Thank you also for having me. I'm going to just stick to Albemarle because there are quite a few projects in Albemarle County, so many that I had to make myself a list to make sure I captured them all. We've had a lot of success in our district with what we call bundling projects. So we'll take multiple elements of projects and put them together, and that becomes a better bid package for contractors, and we've been able to accelerate a lot of projects. The first one I'll talk about is what we call Albemarle Bundle Number 1. This project is complete. It was composed of 6 different elements. It included I-64 exit 118 interchange modifications, I-64 exit 124, the diverging diamond interchange. We also installed a roundabout at 250 and 151. There was a roundabout also installed at Route 20 and 649, Profit Road. And then there was also the Ryer Mills Road, Berkmar Drive connector. And that was all encompassed in just that Albemarle Bundle Number 1. And those projects are all complete. The next set of projects was the Hydraulic Road and 29 improvement projects. That was also bundled. That included the pedestrian bridge over Route 29, which we recently had a ribbon cutting for. It also includes signalized pedestrian crossings and traffic pattern changes at Hydraulic and 29 intersection, and it also included the roundabout at Hillsdale and Hydraulic, which I'm sure a lot of us used to get here this morning. The next set of projects we call Albemarle Bundle Number 2, and this set of projects is under construction right now. So we have 4 roundabouts and then also a continuous green T. The 4 roundabout locations, we have one at 240, 250 that also included a bridge replacement project on Route 680. So we were able to minimize construction delays by having those 2 projects occur simultaneously. And then we have a roundabout at 631 and John Warner Parkway that's about to start construction, in addition to the continuous green T at Belvedere. We also have a roundabout at 5th Street and Old Lynchburg Road that is about to start construction. And then finally, later this year in the fall, we have our last component of this bundle, which is another roundabout at 20 and 53. We also have another bundle that we call the Fontaine Bundle that is also getting ready to start construction, and that's composed of 3 different elements. There will be improvements at US 29 and the Fontaine Avenue interchange. Most notably, what's going to be removed as part of that project is the northbound left turn onto 64 West, where there's always a lot of tractor trailers that are stacked up and have trouble making that left turn. That movement is going to go away, and the improvements at Fontaine are essentially going to facilitate like a big U-turn for them to just use the merge ramp on the south side to get on the interstate. And then the last component of that project, or the second component, I shouldn't say the last, but the other component is Fontaine Avenue streetscape. So there's going to be some shared use paths and sidewalks added to Fontaine Avenue into the city. We've incorporated that piece. And then last, there will be another roundabout at Hydraulic Road and District Avenue. The goal of that roundabout will be to complement the roundabout that was installed at Hillsdale and Greenbrier, since we took lefts out of movement at Hydraulic and 29. So instead of making lefts, the goal would be to go through the intersection and use the roundabout to make those left-hand turn movements, which is much safer. Also, under construction right now, there's a lot, which we should be thankful for, right? 29 shared use path is under construction right now, and this shared use path is up on 29 from Carsbrook Drive to Seminole Lane. We also have construction starting at exit 107 off of I-64 for a park and ride lot. Also going to advertisement for construction in the next month is the 5th Street Station Trail and Hub project, which is to put in a new shared use path. It's behind Wegmans and it links the Rivanna Trail. There's 2 bridges as part of that project as well. So a pretty decent improvement for our trail system. There's also the Avon Street multimodal improvements. This is improvements in the county and the city for pedestrian facilities and also bus shelters. We also have some bridge projects that I'm sure you've seen that are kind of a bit complicated as far as keeping the traffic moving. One of them is Route 702 at Fontaine. That's the bridge replacement over Maury Creek. There's a temporary signal in place right now. That project still has another year to go, but they're working to complete that. And then we also had a bridge project at Route 601 over at Old Ivy. That project's been under construction for a little over a year, and I'm happy to say that we are finishing that project early. So the construction you should see dying down out there as they continue to finish the punch list items to complete it. Another project that we are working on is the Brookmar Drive extension and roundabout that's going to connect Brookmar and Airport Road. That project is still under design development. And then we also have the Route 20, Route 250 intersection and corridor improvement. So for Pantop's location, we'll be doing access management improvements to put in a median throughout the center of 250 to make movements safer and not have so many conflicting left turns. There will also be about 300 linear feet of new sidewalk along the west side of Route 20 to fill in that gap of sidewalk. And then they will be reconstructing the intersection and the signalized intersection at Route 20 and 250, adding some additional turn lanes, specifically the right turn lane as you're heading east to go onto 20, as well as some additional turn lanes off of Riverbend. And that's the length of projects that we got going on right now. Thank you.
That's a few things going on. To clarify, I get to go to a lot of these meetings, and can you share with the group the difference between a green T versus an R cut?
So an R cut essentially, if you're on a side street and you want to make a left, you have to make a right, go farther down the road, and make a U-turn to go left. So it splits up those movements from having all of that in one location. It splits those up so that there's not as many conflicting movements in one location. A continuous green T, it keeps a through movement for let's say westbound. So if you're traveling westbound, you would have a through movement, whereas the eastbound could make a left in, and the traffic on the westbound would continue to move because there would be a dedicated lane for those left turns.
Thank you. And I know how hard VDOT communication folks work. Are there dedicated websites to each of these projects? Specifically, question came in about the Fontaine Avenue project. Do we have dedicated websites to each of these projects so that people can learn what's going on when?
Yes, we do. We have project websites for each of these projects, and it outlines the scope. It has a schematic that you can view. It shows the budget. It shows the proposed construction and length. Very helpful. It also has an interactive map that you can click on, and you can actually see designated by different colors which projects are pending, which ones are under construction, which ones are studies. So it is a very useful tool, and that's just on our main Virginia Transportation, Department of Transportation website.
It's under virginia.gov/transportation, I believe. Not that I live there. Next up to Taylor is a related question. With so many projects going on and so much funding questions, I get lost sometimes what's funded, what's not funded, what's going where. Are they actually going to build this thing? What's going on? What's the best information resource for realtors to stay plugged into what's going on around their listings and around their neighborhood?
So I definitely think the local jurisdictions do a lot of really great work to publish information for the transportation work that's being done. So understanding the comprehensive plan for each of the local jurisdictions, that will outline where they want to go, where they see themselves for the next 20 to 30 years, showing where they want to direct development, where they want to incentivize growth that's happening in their communities. And that's sort of our first clue to understand and be on the lookout for. There are probably going to be some significant projects attached to those locations. The second thing I would say is planning commission meetings, local board meetings. A lot of the times we are making decisions on projects very far in advance from when they would actually be constructed. And so being able to see real time, hearing the discussions that are being made around these projects, just peeking at those local agendas at the local level for those meetings is really helpful and really insightful. Like Carrie said, VDOT publishes a lot of information on the projects that are under construction. You can see what the budget is for those, where they are in the construction process. So they're also a really great resource.
I highly recommend localities receive all the localities within the district receive a report from Carrie. It's best when it's on the consent agenda because it's right there printed for you. But about quarterly, I think you speak to both Albemarle and the city. It may be quarterly for Greene County as well, but then that way she gets peppered with questions and it's great fun. Bring your popcorn. There are seats available. Next up for Kevin, and this is related to a question that we've just received. As housing developments in Albemarle come up for review, how are transportation metrics measured? And the question was about the old Ivy Road project and how those improvements that are deemed necessary, who funds them? Do the applicants? Does the community? We all know where I stand. So how does that go?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Neil. So the way we evaluate these residential projects that come into the county depends on whether those projects are going to be by right, which means they're allowed to do that under the current zoning they have, or if they're going to be if they require a rezoning or a special use permit. If they require a rezoning or special use permit, those are what we refer to as legislative, which means they have to go in front of the Planning Commission and the Board of Supervisors and present the project, and then the Board of Supervisors would ultimately vote to approve or deny their application to change that zoning. So if those projects are by right, the only review we have is an administrative review where we look at the specific site that someone's trying to develop, and we just make sure that within that site, they are meeting our general requirements. They're putting in sidewalks that we need, pedestrian crossings, they're making the street connections that we require, and they're meeting all of VDOT standards for those things, because all these roads end up becoming public roads that VDOT will maintain. If those projects are require a legislative action through a rezoning, then we have a lot more leeway to really require those developers to go in and evaluate the impacts that development will have on transportation in the region. So to use the Old Ivy Residences development as an example, and for those of you that aren't aware, I'm sure everybody's aware, because if you ever drive up and down the bypass, you'll see that large area that's been cleared on the east side of the bypass right by Ivy Road. That's called the Old Ivy Residences. I think they're close to 300 units out there of a mix of single family and apartments and townhomes. So that required a rezoning, and as part of that, we required them to do a traffic impact analysis, similar to the modeling that the TJPDC does for a long-range plan. What they have to do is they figure out how many trips would be generated by that development, where we think they're going to go, and they run that through a transportation model that talks about the impact it's going to have on the adjacent intersections. And so once they've developed that, we review that along with the Department of Transportation, and we typically will require that developer to make those improvements or to fund those improvements through proffers. Proffers are really just commitments from a developer that they will pay money for a future improvement.
Didn't say extortion.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing, but it's one of the only ways that we can prevent the local taxpayer from having to foot the bill for a residential development that's going on. So we put that on the developer. It does end up getting, turned back around and into the price of the community, into the price of housing. But once they do that transportation analysis and we evaluate it, then we can require them to do these improvements. With Old Ivy Residences, I believe that they are making improvements all along the Old Ivy Road there. They're putting in some pedestrian facilities there. But beyond that, they gave us close to $2 million to make improvements in key areas, including the interchange to get on and off the bypass right there, to make improvements over at the Canterbury 250 intersection, the one right in front of the Bel Air Market, if you know that. a major problem for us. So they gave us money to do that, and money to do some additional pedestrian improvements because they expect that to be heavily used by students of UVA, and we want to be able to make sure that they can walk back and forth between the residences and the university campus. So so that's one way we're doing it. We are right now working with the TJPDC and the Department of Transportation to really define what specific projects we're going to use that money on, and we're going to make applications for funding for that. So that's just an example as to how we work with the developer to get them to help fund improvements.
And increase the cost of housing. Sorry. Next one to Carrie. As we have on our lovely graphic here, when I started this work, we didn't do rotaries or traffic circles or roundabouts. And now I think the goal of VDOT is to have one within a mile of every residence. But can you explain from an engineering standpoint why transportation planners and engineers love the roundabout?
Sure. So roundabouts are just inherently safer than a traditional signalized intersection. A signalized intersection has over 32 conflict points, and we see crashes that could be high-speed T-bone crashes. Whereas if you have a roundabout, the goal is to slow people down before they get into the roundabout, and we see less severe crashes because people are merging and exiting. Those are the only movements. So if a crash happens, it's usually a side swipe instead of, something more serious, such as a T-bone collision. Traffic also flows more smoothly. It has operational benefits. So instead of sitting at a stoplight that's on a set timer, waiting maybe sometimes unnecessarily, it keeps the traffic flow moving. There are also lower maintenance and energy costs. If you think about the infrastructure that we have to put in for a signal and how we have to maintain that, this eliminates that piece of it. And it also eliminates the time that cars are sitting, idling. So there could be some environmental benefits as well.
All right, next up for Taylor, a question from the audience about a unique road, the John Warner Parkway, formerly known as the artist, formerly known as Meadow Creek Parkway. That parkway is within two jurisdictions, the city of Charlottesville and the county of Albemarle. And when first announced, according to this, it could have been 4 lanes. It's now 2 lanes and backs up pretty much every day. No one stayed the course. Now, I have my opinions to why. Go figure. Could you say if there's any plans to widen the John Warner Parkway so to eliminate that bottleneck?
I can't speak to any current plans to widen John Warner Parkway. I will say at the MPO, the things that rise to the level of something being of regional significance have first gone through local processes, right? So first, the city of Charlottesville, the county of Albemarle would have to indicate a project being a priority for them, and then it comes to the MPO for that regional discussion and inclusion into our plans. So that process would start at the local level first.
For those who have long memories and sit in a lot of meetings, you may remember there were, I believe it was 8 requirements for the city to sign on to building what was then known as the Meadow Creek Parkway. One of them was it was going to be 2 lanes and every bridge is going to be built to be 2 lanes and you were never going to widen it. Another, and this was supposed to be the poison pill, was a grade separated interchange. And then a group went to John Warner, and John Warner said, we can do this with a federal earmark, and we now have a grade separated interchange that 20 years ago, we thought we would never get funded. And that's why we have it today. And that's part of the reason it's known as the John Warner Parkway. But it all comes down to politics. Transportation is about politics. And I don't ever see, and never's a long time, but in my tenure here, I don't see that going to 4 lanes within the city. You may recall, and if you're really bored, go on the Free Enterprise Forum blog and look up the Melbourne Parkway. The county's portion was completed before the city's was, and they opened it just to kind of stick it to the city a little bit. And you had to go off and get them. But it was a challenging project that took a long time to get done, and there was lots of politics involved. But thanks for the question. Carrie, the next question is for you from the audience. Can you speak a little bit more about that 29 South movement for tractor trailers? Will they have to merge into the off-ramp from 64 to turn right? When they get back on 29 South, will it be a dedicated lane to go from Fontaine to I-64? Lots of accidents there already.
Okay, let me see if I've got all this. So the question is, how are they going to maneuver
How does a truck go from,
northbound?
how do we eliminate that left turn movement, and how does making a tractor trailer do a U-turn make it easier and safer?
Okay, so instead of trying to make that left, and considering the traffic volumes that are coming south, it doesn't leave very many breaks. So the goal here to close that access point, they will continue traveling up to Fontaine. The Fontaine interchange will be improved to accommodate a tractor trailer, essentially making a U-turn and getting back on 29 South. When they get back on 29 South, they will just use the on-ramp onto onto 64, just like the other cars.
Thank you. Now a toss-up question, and I'm going to toss it to Kevin, because Kevin sits in a lot of these meetings with me. In planning, how do you balance the multimodal bicycle, pedestrian, vehicular demands in road design and construction? And our Campo had a little discussion about this recently. So what are your thoughts on balancing multimodal design?
So it is the county's goal to make sure that all the transportation facilities in Albemarle County are multimodal facilities. And we primarily see that within the urbanized area. So almost any project that we are going to do is going to contain a pedestrian and bike component. There are, on occasion, when we have projects where there is really no pedestrian or bike need, that we would end up, if that project is an important project that's addressing safety and or congestion, then we may not include that. And that was the case recently with a discussion on the interchange of Ivy Road and at the bypass there. So we are looking at possibly, or we are looking at making an application through the state's Smart Scale funding program to extend the exit and entrance lanes from the bypass to Old Ivy Road there. Those, because there's no need to put a pedestrian facility on the bypass, we did not include any pedestrian facilities. But unless it's something in a case like that where we're looking at a limited access highway, every project that we do will have a multimodal component. It's a very important thing for us to do. And when we look at projects, for many, many years, we have been funding projects throughout the state, throughout the country, that focused very heavily on making sure vehicular movements were accommodated and that people could drive. And during a long portion of that time, we ignored things like pedestrians and bicyclists and transit, and we made it harder and harder for people to travel like that. So what we're trying to do is make sure that we make a balance these days, so that so we know that as this community grows, we can't let everybody make every single trip by a single occupancy vehicle. The funding's just not going to be there for that. So we have to allow people to be able to make some trips, even if it's just within their neighborhood, by bike or by walking or by transit. And that's what we're really working to do these days.
That's great. I'm fascinated by the number of people that are using e-bikes to do all kinds of things. Night before last, I heard of a farmer using an e-bike to herd sheep. Sounds like a job for a hound dog or an F-150 to me, but Carrie, how do your plans at VDOT integrate modality, I guess is the right verb?
We have requirements too that require us to look at inclusion of sidewalks and pedestrian improvements. So we're looking at those opportunities as well with the county to align with their priorities and make sure that it's fitting VDOT standards.
Thank you. And speaking to Taylor, with the TJPDC, you guys have a focus, some of a long-range transit programming. I know that fits into transportation programming. How does transit fit into the LRPT?
It fits into the long-range transportation plan because our LRTP is multimodal, right? So we are not just looking at improvements for cars over the next 20 years. We're also looking to see what improvements we can include for transit, for bicycles, for pedestrians, all within that plan. And so good transportation planning would consider all of those things at the same time, and we wouldn't look at those independently.
Well, May is Bike Month, so I'm sure you all rode your bikes here, because there's nothing like a nice bike ride on 250. But that wraps up all of our questions. Would you please join me in thanking our panel for the time? Change of scenery.
Taylor, Kevin, Carrie, and Neil, thank you for joining us this morning. Your insights and expertise on transportation, accessibility, and community impact have been incredibly valuable. We will be sure to share this information with our clients. Thank you again. In that same spirit of understanding growth and change within our footprint, we are fortunate to welcome our second guest, Brittany Niemeyer, Assistant Director of Tourism Economic Development from Nelson County. Brittany will share timely insights to help deepen our understanding of local trends shaping our community. Brittany's presentation will be available in next week's news group issue. If you're in person and have a question, please submit an index card, raise your hand, and a staff member will collect it from you. Those on Zoom, please use the Q&A feature on the Zoom toolbar to submit your question. Your questions will be read aloud. Brittany, take it away.
Thank you, everyone. As you said, my name is Brittany Niemeyer. I'm the Assistant Director of Economic Development and Tourism for Nelson County, and I'm excited to be here today. I'm going to go through 3 of our campaigns that our office has been working on this year. All 3 of these campaigns were funded by Virginia Tourism Corporation and grants from Go Virginia Economic Development. So we're really excited about them, and I'll tell you more about them. First, we're going to start off with our Virginia 250 campaign. I'm sure you all are familiar with either the VA 250 campaign or the America 250. Celebrating the founding of our nation. And so this year for Nelson, we applied for a grant with Virginia Tourism, and it was a bit out of our comfort zone. It was really focusing on the historical traveler that we have not really reached before in our region, specifically for Nelson. We have a lot of really great neighbors with a lot of historical significance. So for us, we were like, how can we get involved to get our face in front of these visitors? And so we made a campaign that ties together 3 of our trails throughout our county. So we have 3 major trails. Our first is our Nelson 151 Craft Beverage Trail. We have our Nelson 29 Craft Beverage Trail, and then our Virginia Fruit Loop Trail, which incorporates 11 family farms and orchards without our county. And so this campaign is all-encompassing for all 3 of those trails. So it has 29 stops, and when you go through those stops throughout Nelson County, we worked with Loyal Brew. They're a digital passport company, actually outside of Charlottesville. We work with them for a lot of different campaigns, and they're wonderful. And so the traveler gets to go to these different farms, orchards, wineries, cideries, or breweries, scan this QR code, and they're going to learn about the historical significance of either the farm or orchard or of the craft beverage at that time. So really excited about this campaign because it's really going to give you all the different things to see in Nelson. You can go to the Blue Ridge Tunnel. You can go to Silver Creek Orchard and learn about how apples sustained soldiers at the time. You can go to a cidery and try one of the products they made for VA 250 and also learn about how cider was safer to drink at the time than water. And so with that, also our breweries in Nelson County, so breweries from Nelson 151 and Nelson 29 came together and they brewed a beer for the VA 250 campaign. And the reason why that was exciting is if you go to the VA 250 webpage for Virginia Tourism, they have a really cool interactive map that talks about different places that are involved in the campaign, and there are a ton of little map dots in Nelson County. So we're getting a lot of really great face time for our small county and really getting to put some focus on these businesses that are pillars of our community, but also small farms and orchards who you may not know exists. And so we've been really excited about that. And this campaign runs throughout the end of the year. So if you have any questions, please let me know. But this QR code will take you to the website and tell you more about it. But we're really excited about that. And it's been great to really get so many businesses to work together who are neighbors but may not have really ever spoken. And so it was really great for our community as well. Next, I'm going to go through our Toast Virginia campaign. This campaign was extremely exciting for us. It was funded with the Virginia Wine Marketing Office and Virginia Tourism. We worked with Albemarle County, Greene County, and Madison County to really bolster the Toast Virginia campaign that is with the Virginia Wine Coalition. And so this is really to bring focus to Virginia wine. We have great wine here and a lot of great places to drink it. And so this campaign is really focusing outside of Virginia. So New York, DC, Pennsylvania, Maryland, to really bring attention to the wonderful wine coming from the Monticello wine region. And so we were able to use that grant funding to get beautiful visuals, run some really wonderful campaigns. And we just finished our campaign online last week, and it outperformed any campaign that our office ever ran ever. And so we're really excited about that. We got so many views to our website, and really got to, like I said, get great content of all of our wines and orchards and work with our lodging partners. And so I really encourage you to spend some time not only looking at the campaign, looking at Toast Virginia, celebrating these wonderful wineries and winemakers in this region, but also going then to visit some of these wonderful wineries that you may have not visited before and celebrating Toast Virginia in anyday life. Next, another campaign that I'm personally very, very excited about this, and I'd love for everyone to give us some feedback to our office. But this week, this Monday, we launched our new website that was made possible by some funding with the Virginia Tourism Grant. And so for Nelson County, we are a small county. We've got one stoplight, but we had over 400 listings of different places to stay or eat and drink and shop while you're in Nelson, and then it was in alphabetical order. So when you're going to the website and you're looking at what to do while you're in the area, it's a bit overwhelming. But now we've got this wonderful interactive map. So when you're on the website, if you're looking up, okay, I'm coming to stay in Afton, it has all of these dots that's going to show you directly of where to eat, where to hike, where to shop, where to stay. And it's all based off Google Maps. So it's going to tell you exactly where the drive is, what their hours are. And it's really going to make it a great opportunity for visitors who are on the website to build out an itinerary. And we're really hoping it's going to result in more travelers coming and staying and learning about our businesses. So that QR code will take you directly to that new site. And like I said, we launched it this week, so we're looking for some feedback. So if you have time, my email's at the end. If there's anything you love or any recommendations you have, I'd love to hear it. But we're really excited about what this means for the localities and the business owners in our area to really get to increase that length of stay, but also just making it easier on the visitors to know what's around them and what's able for them to do while they're staying with us in Nelson. Lastly, I wanted to talk briefly about our craft beverage trails. You may be familiar with Nelson 151 and Nelson 29, but those are two craft beverage trails that we have that go through Nelson County, but also include some wineries and breweries in Albemarle County as well. And not only are they such important pillars and assets to us for our tourism department, but they're also just really great pillars of our community. Both of those trails work really closely with nonprofits in Nelson County. Specifically this year, Nelson 29, all of the business owners are working closely with the food pantry. And so they're going to volunteer dates together. They're doing food drives at all of their locations. They're doing restaurant weeks where proceeds are going towards that. And so it's really great to not only see them be that pillar of the community, but also Nelson 151 this year, all of the partners are working with the local SPCA. And so they're going out and they're walking dogs and they're having adoptable pets coming to their events and making donations as well. And so we're thankful that not only do they partner with us for these grant opportunities to build out these itineraries and make us a place that people want to come visit, but they also help and give back. So it's always something that we like to talk about, is that they are great neighbors as well. Few things that are new coming in Nelson County. You may have gotten the theme, but we have a lot of craft beverage. And so we've had some new wineries open up that we're very excited about. If you haven't visited Woodridge Winery or Delve Winery, they're both on the Nelson 29 trail. Personally, I'm a big fan of Nelson 29 because it comes through, of course, that 29 corridor. But also it's a lot of wineries and breweries that are a bit smaller than the ones that are on Nelson 151. So visitors are getting a more intimate experience. A lot of times when you're there, the winemakers themselves are the one that are serving you in the tap room. And so it's a really great place that many people may have not visited before. Of course, Nelson 151 is a full day trip and you can get a lot of great experiences there. But I always like to highlight, people may not know, we launched Nelson 29 in 2020. So it's still getting up and running and getting some name recognition for us. And then lastly, I spoke about this briefly with our campaign for Toast Virginia, but we're working closely with the Virginia Wine Coalition. This is funded and made possible from Go Virginia for economic development. And they're the ones who are really helping us champion Virginia wine, provide resources to wineries who may not have the marketing research or the funding for just larger analytics. And so it's really helping bridge that gap between what resources we have from Virginia Tourism and Go Virginia to our local wineries so that we can really champion them all and increase their success, but also just make them feel supported and give those resources out and kind of be that middleman. So this is a really wonderful campaign and really wonderful counties that are all working together. And so I wanted to make sure that for those who don't know about it, now know and can spend some time looking through it. And yeah, those are our main updates for Nelson County. Are there any questions that I can help answer today?
Brittany, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate you keeping us informed about the new developments in Nelson County. As a reminder, Brittany's presentation will be included in Monday's news group issue along with today's recording. At this time, I'd like to invite Sean Johnson, Vice Chair of Charlottesville Young Professionals Network, or YPN, to the stage. He will share information about their upcoming Waterpalooza Challenge event.
Good morning. How's everyone doing? Just by a raise of hands, I'm curious, how many of here have been to a Waterpalooza event with Wet n Wild? Awesome, 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 awesome. So we have our next event planned. We're excited to host. It's the 9th annual Waterpalooza Challenge, which benefits the Realtors Political Action Committee, or RPAC, on May 27th from 3 to 5 at Dardentown. This event was originally created by both the Women's Council of Realtors Blue Ridge and Charlottesville YPN, led by Rachel Burns, at the time as a unique and fun networking activity to support RPAC. The event includes 4 games: a balloon chair pop, balloon baseball, slingshot bucket, and the always competitive water balloon toss. Teams are made up of 4 people, so start putting your teams together now. Your registration is $15, and it will contribute to RPAC and support elected officials who understand the realtor community and champions for homeownership and property rights. No experience is needed. Just come ready to have some fun and throw a few water balloons. And I do have to say, the Women's Council of Realtors Blue Ridge has been reigning champs for 2 years, so bring your A game. So if you're thinking about taking the title, come get some. Register today using the Car Education and benefits calendar. We hope to see you May 27th at Dardentown. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sean. That event is always a great time, and bonus, it's a fun way to support RPAC. Fingers crossed for great weather, and I look forward to seeing you there. I think the executive committee is going to have a team. Just saying. I'm not any goodie, though. As we wrap up today's meeting, I want to make sure we acknowledge a few members for their tremendous RPAC commitment. At the end of April, Virginia Realtors recognized the Commonwealth's new RPAC Hall of Fame class. These extraordinary realtors will be recognized at the RPAC Hall of Fame induction ceremony during the National Association of Realtors mid-year meetings in June. NAR's RPAC Hall of Fame recognizes members who have made a significant commitment to RPAC over the years by investing an aggregate lifetime amount of at least $25,000. If these members are with us today, please stand to be recognized. Congratulations to Kim Armstrong for being inducted into the 2025 Virginia RPAC Hall of Fame class for the first time. Congratulations to Denise Ramey on her 3rd induction into the Virginia RPAC Hall of Fame as part of the 2025 class, an incredible milestone. They join fellow CAR members Quentin Beckham and Percy Montague IV, who are already recognized as Virginia RPAC Hall of Fame. We sincerely appreciate these members for their dedication to supporting our industry and safeguarding the rights of home ownership and private property. I do want to bring an important reminder and announce several upcoming education classes and meetings. As you know, Virginia Realtors released the new residential contract to purchase on Monday, May 4th. Please visit the Virginia Realtors new residential purchase contract resources page. It has a lot of great information. You can either scan the QR code now or reference the first topic in this week's news group e-newsletter. If you have a question about the contract, please contact the Virginia Realtors legal hotline. While we're on the topic of Virginia Realtors, they will be coming to CAR on June 24th to present two important and timely classes. The first is 2026 New Laws, and the second is VAR Purchase Contract. Both classes are free and are pending CE and PLE credits by the Department of Occupational Regulations, DPOR. You can register for both classes now on CAR Education and Events calendar. Our Sweet 16 series is where we offer 16 continuing education credits, or CE, on license renewal coming up on July 16th and the 23rd. Don't forget, CAR is offering those CE classes for free this year, so please take advantage. Our general membership meetings will take a vacation this summer, hopefully just like you. I will look forward to seeing you for the September general membership meeting, which is our annual Development and Economic Summit on Thursday, September 10th from 2 to 4:30 at the Hillsdale Conference Center. We are thrilled to welcome back Ryan Price, Chief Economist for Virginia Realtors, Lawrence Yoon, Chief Economist and Senior Vice President of Research from the National Association of Realtors, and Danushka, I can't say that part, Skillington, Assistant Vice President of Forecasting and Analysis from the National Association of Home Builders. I will practice before then. Registration is free and already available on the CAR Education and Events calendar. To conclude this morning's meeting, I would like to welcome the following new realtors. If you are a new realtor, I invite you to please introduce yourself to us. Raise your hand and staff will bring you a microphone. Are there any new members? In addition, I'd like to welcome the following new affiliate members. Same offer applies. New affiliates, I invite you to introduce yourself to us. Raise your hand and staff will bring you a microphone. Any new affiliates? Yes.
I'd like to introduce two realtors to my firm. Kate Hayes, who is in Rockingham County, so if you need a referral in that area. And then I have, oh my gosh, Bettina Christova, and she's in Augusta County.
Okay.
And of course, you know me, I'm from Nelson County.
Finally, I would like to acknowledge a member who is retiring. We wish her all the best in the next chapter. Last reminder, we are offering a free Serving Seniors class with instructor Donna Patton starting at 10:45 today. The class offers 1 hour of real estate related CE credit. Make sure you sign in before class begins. I hope everyone has a great rest of the day and this meeting is adjourned.